Hello, my friend. My name is Jeff Al Gilberts, and I'm giving you this video message from my home here in Tennessee in the United States. Over 46 years ago, I got involved in network marketing. Yes, that was back in the 1970s. That was at a time when you didn't have personal computers, you didn't have cell phones, you didn't have the internet, you didn't have fast shipping, any of that. It was a different world back then. When I describe it to people who are joining in network marketing companies today, they're very surprised because they're so used to having all these things. But back then, the focus was more on sales. And I was more of a hobbyist in network marketing. I liked it. I was trying to understand how to get better at it. And so for the first 13 years, I guess I could say that's what it was. It was a hobby. And I had a business. And so I enjoyed doing presentations, meeting people, the things that we all love to do in network marketing. But it was in the year of 1993 that my company went into bankruptcy because we lost our major accounts. And for the first time, I had no money coming in. It was a very difficult time, very difficult time. And I did some serious thinking. And I thought to myself, you know what? I've never really fully committed myself to a network marketing opportunity, threw myself into it. And I decided I'm going to do that. And then I went in search for a company. And then when I found the company, I didn't have the money to get started. I was quite depressed at that time. It was very difficult. I couldn't pay my bills. And so what I did was I sat on my porch one day just thinking and praying. And finally, I looked out in my yard and I saw the only thing that was left from my bankrupt company was a junk truck. Yes, the motor didn't start. The tire was flat. I called the junkyard to see if they would want to come and buy it. And the man came out and he said, I'll give you $400. I said, take it. And I put $200 in the groceries and $200 in my network marketing business just to get started. You know, friend, after that, though I didn't know it at the time, since that time, I went off and made $45 million in network marketing. I put $200 in, I made $45 million since then. But I didn't start making money right away when I started. After I got some products, I made a contact list of people that I knew. I couldn't afford a cell phone bill, a phone bill. So my sponsor gave me a cell phone. I couldn't get reception where I lived. So what I did was I drove up in the hills of Tennessee. And I remember one day I opened a cattle gate, drove my truck in the middle of the field. There were cows in the field. I closed the gate so the cows couldn't get out. The farmer didn't know I was there. And I got out my notes and put them on the hood of the truck, and I started making phone calls. And some of the people would say, hey, we're hearing cows, you know, or the sound of cows. Where are you? And I was so embarrassed, but I just said, well, I like to come out in the country and enjoy nature. It's very spiritual. And well, this Saturday at 1:00, will that be a good time for me to see you? And that's what I would do. I would set up different appointments. And sometimes when I drove to see someone who would gather some people together, I didn't even have the gas money to get back home. I'd have to borrow it. It was very embarrassing. I took part-time jobs, cleaning stores at night and wherever I could, just to supplement my income. It was a very challenging time. And I remember when I was 3 months behind paying my utilities, my water, electricity on my house, and I was 3 months behind paying the bank for my truck. One day I got a knock at the door and the man said, sir, I'm here to get the money for the utilities. And I told him, I said, yeah, right. Let's go out to my truck and I have my checkbook there and I'll write you a check. He said, okay. We went out to my driveway, but what I didn't know was the bank had come and they got my truck. They repossessed my truck that morning. And I looked at the man and I said, where's my truck? And he looked at me like I was crazy and he turned off my utilities. And then there was an old man that would follow me whatever company I went to, a retired engineer, and he gave me the money to get my utilities back on, but he also gave me a car that it looked like it'd been in his family 4 generations. It did have a little paint left on it. And it was with that car that I would drive around and prospect people. Of course, I would park the car where they couldn't see it and meet them in a restaurant. But I remember when I was going to go do a meeting in a city that was 8 hours away, I decided to get the oil changed, and that's what I did. But what I didn't know was that the man who changed my oil did not tighten down the lid on the oil filter. So when I was driving up the highway, the oil was coming out. But when I was driving up the highway, I was thinking about some things. I was thinking, my life is changing now. I have a team. I'm starting to make money. It's really going to happen for me now. And then it was boom, boom, bam, bam. I'm on the side of the road. The motor is broken. And then I'm doing this. I'm thumbing a ride, and a trucker picks me up. He takes me to a payphone booth. Do you see that payphone booth? It's mounted on my wall behind me. Yes, one of those that you put a coin in and make a phone call. Yes. And that's what I did. And the person who I called was my father. And I told my father what happened. And I can remember, his words, because I was asking him to bring me a car, help me with a car. And I can remember his words, and he said, son, I think it's about time you get a job. So I lost face with my father. And it was horrible. But one reason why I have that payphone booth mounted to my wall is I never forget that phone call. So I did get to that city, and I did do that meeting. But when I got back home, one of my leaders was with me, and I looked at the answering machine, and there were 100 messages on the answering machine from my creditors who wanted their money. And I remember my leader saying to me, what will you do? And I said, I'll show you. And I went up and I unplugged the machine and plugged it back in. I said, wow, look at that. It went back to zero. Because when you have problems like that, if you don't develop a sense of humor, you're going to find a bridge and jump. And I wasn't going to do that. Those were not easy times. It really wasn't. But I was so close to what I call the turning point. The turning point is a coined expression, a phrase that I created. And the meaning of the turning point is this: about the time you're ready to quit, the right people walk into your life, and it changes your business forever. And that's what happened. And in fact, I was looking for more work. I even went down to the government office. And what I didn't know, I was 6 months away from being a full-time professional in network marketing. And I've been a full-time professional for 31 years now, living off residual income. But going back to that time, when I think about what impacted me the most was personal development. I committed to studying mentors, people like Tony Robbins. Tony Robbins, I purchased his cassettes. I was listening to his cassettes every day. And on Sundays, I would practice visualization or attraction, the growth, attraction marketing, you could say. That is, whatever we think about the most, that's what we attract in our life. And so I can remember every Sunday I would go to where the rich people live. They had all those beautiful houses. And I would park my car and just go for walks. And I would do it every Sunday. And I would think to myself, yes, this is the way it's going to be. And this is the way my life is going to turn out. The house, the one with the pillars. Yes, I'm going to have a house like that. The rose gardens, the perennial gardens. Yeah, and I'm going to have a gardener too. And that Mercedes in the driveway, I'm going to put a BMW next to it. I would do that every Sunday, practicing the law of attraction before they even knew what to call that. But I was listening to my mentor. And you know what, friend? In 18 months, I was moving into and living and owning one of those houses in 18 months. That's right, going from bankruptcy to nothing, and in 18 months going into the house of my dreams. And it was just as I described it. Well, I always tell people, network marketing is not easy, but it's worth it. It's easy if you just want to make a little money. But if you want to make a lot of money, become wealthy in network marketing, that's not easy, but it's worth it. And I studied the right mentors. And since that time, I've helped 200 people become millionaires in my team in this very business. 200 people. That is the thing I'm most proud about. It changed my life. I've traveled the world. I've lived in Asia. I met my wife in Taiwan, and we came and moved here to raise a family. And I still spend my time traveling over in Asia, working with different leaders. It's been a great experience. So what I'd like to do now is let you see my house. And this is my home I live in. This is one of my rooms. And some people think it's a hotel, but it's a house. And I'd like to take you on a little tour, and keep in mind that I don't owe money. I don't have debt. This house is paid for. It's an $8 million house. And again, we love entertaining people here, but I'd like to show you my house. It was great speaking with you. And I hope we get a chance to be able to work together where I can share my passion about network marketing with you and help you be successful. Boy, that would bring great joy to me. Arigato.